Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Gritmon. Welcome to Social. Sorry for the short delay. There were some kind of technical issues and was in Live for the first time. But anyway, I'm here at the headquarters of AOL and the Huffington Post. And I'm here with a guest from the Huffington Post, not the one that I was scheduled to have. So if the picture looks a little different. She dyed her hair really quickly.
Exactly.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I am Abby Williams. I am on the audience development team at HuffPost. Hi, guys.
There are kids here today. It's Take Your Kids to Work Day.
Which is why I'm here. So I work on the audience development team. I am an associate editor of news and emerging platforms.
Right, so news and emerging platforms. Can you describe the emerging platforms element of that?
So we try to work on a host of things aside from the main social accounts. So we obviously have a big Facebook presence, Twitter presence, Instagram presence, even Pinterest. But we have also been focusing on some more chat apps, some more bots, ways to interact with our audience in kind of a one-to-one messaging type way. So yeah, we have a Viber chat that I participate in, and we have an eye out on everything that's emerging across the media.
Have you been using WhatsApp?
We did actually do WhatsApp. That was a couple of years ago. The thing that was difficult about WhatsApp was just creating a group size of the size that we wanted it to be. It was very limiting in terms of long, so it just ended up working out. But
how do you get an audience for something like WeChat or for Viber or for any of those kind of emerging platforms?
Yeah, for Viber, what we have done is created sticker packs. So these are kind of virtual stickers that people can send their friends, and they're cute, really cute. They're really fun. So each time we create a sticker pack with Viber, if people want to download it, they can subscribe to our chat group. So HuffPost Entertainment has a chat group, and HuffPost Politics has a chat group, and we've created sticker packs for both, and people will download those and then follow our chats.
Now, I know on traditional social media like Facebook and Twitter and things like that, HuffPost has a lot of different kind of sub-properties, sort of specialty things, HuffPost Women, HuffPost Gay Voices, HuffPost Parenting. Oh, Simone says it sounds like we're underwater. That's probably because the computer is far away. Did that help? I hope that helped. All right. So I know that you have all those outside voice is hard to hear. Okay.
Oh, right.
All right. So we'll be a little louder. Sorry about that. Thank you, Simone.
Yeah.
So I know you have all those online presences for all those sub-properties, all those specialty groups. Mm-hmm. Do you do that also on the messaging apps, or is it kind of just HuffPost?
So the messaging apps, I mean, it's all kind of, we're figuring it out as we go along. So it's not as branded specifically for vertical the way that it was with HuffPost Women, HuffPost Black Voices, HuffPost Queer Voices. So we have decided to focus on the ones that make sense for the platform. So on Viber specifically, HuffPost Entertainment and HuffPost Politics made the most sense. We have a lot to talk about with the election, and we always have a lot to talk about with celebrity news. So those are the two that made sense for that platform. But if we find a chat app or a bot, for instance, we worked with bots, Facebook Messenger bots for HuffPost Lifestyle. It'll be a recipe bot, and people can type in, what they're looking for, and we will provide them with recommendations. So that's something that we do with the HuffPost Lifestyle side, but that wouldn't necessarily make sense for HuffPost Entertainment.
So people can, so that's live now. Mm-hmm. So people can go to HuffPost Lifestyle, do send message.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a while ago that we launched it, so the last time I checked it was, but it's been a little while. But yeah, so at one point, and still maybe today, you could just go and message HuffPost Lifestyle, and they would provide you recommendations directly with recipes.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm. It is cool, yeah.
And in terms of these other platforms, because this is becoming a bigger thing, messengers, automated content, things like that, it's becoming a much bigger thing. I had been trying to ignore it, admittedly, because I do everything that I do with a very personal touch, very localized. Mm-hmm. So it felt impersonal to me. But now that I'm learning more about it, first of all, you can't resist it. It's the way things are going. It's like resisting video. You can't. Yeah. But also, I think they're figuring out ways to make it more personally useful, like that recipe thing. Is there any plan to roll that sort of thing out to the other sub-properties at the moment?
Well, we have regular brainstorms about what would make sense for the next iteration of a chat app or a bot, or what might be something we would want to work on next. So yes, those are talks that we are having and that we have had meetings about. I don't think we have any current plans right now that we're working toward. We just had this major redesign, obviously, and a lot of our developmental resources went entirely toward that.
In case you didn't hear, Huffington Post is now specifically HuffPost.
Yes.
And instead of the classic, green square with the centered sort of serif font, the Huffington Post, it's very sleek. HuffPost.
Yeah.
So that's what she was talking about with the rebrand. That's actually why our original guest couldn't make it, because they're really swamped with the rebrand. It started, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
It just rolled out.
It launched earlier this week, and it's been really exciting. It's basically the focus of the redesign was to get to the root of what HuffPost is about, which is really that front page, that splash, that experience of taking the news and bringing it down to its purest form and getting the essence of it and having that humor and having that splashiness, essentially. So that's what the redesign was really all about. And it's been a long, hard-fought battle to get everything done, but it's done, and we're very excited about it.
Great. Now, I'm very curious about these emerging platforms, because these aren't things that I use, and they are really the next frontier of social media. So, first of all, what demographic is I guess right now they're sort of the end of the early adapters, would you say?
Well, yes. I think
But, who are they?
I think what we are going for, especially with the chat apps, is a younger audience.
Yeah.
Because that is something that we found that Messenger and Viber and WhatsApp are things that young people use to connect with each other. And we are also learning that the generation behind millennials, so the Gen Z group, much more private. They're not necessarily as public with everything, with posting everything about themselves on Instagram or doing daily Facebook statuses. That's not necessarily their behavior.
They're sending direct Snapchat messages instead of posting to stories like old people like I do.
Exactly. So it's more of cultivating those relationships with your friends and keeping things private. And we want to be able to provide that similar type of experience for younger audiences. So those chats are public, that they can be viewed by anybody, but the behavior within them is that of a private group of friends who's just chatting. So, that's something that we want to experiment with and that we want to explore more.
So you're trying to join their conversation. How do you get them to join yours?
Well, so we have, it's something that we have been working on, and that I think a lot of sites across the media landscape are working on is, I think millennials, we've kind of figured millennials out. So how do we get down to people who are currently teenagers?
Or even millennials. How do you get them to your point? And I think that even some of the younger millennials, they're going for that privacy. They don't want to feel sold to. They want to be talking to their friends. So how did you crack that then in terms of getting in front of them?
Right. That's a really good question. I think with millennials, it is about trustworthiness. It's about, good reporting, good writing, and brand affinity. So millennials have already figured out what brands they identify with.
Yeah.
They have already figured out what brands mean to them, which brands they think are cool, which brands they think are respectable. Something that we see a lot from millennials is that prestige is valuable to them, that the New York Times is something they respect, and the Washington Post is something that they turn to. CNN is their most watched television show. And it's because those are the things that their parents and that their teachers have told them are, respectable news sources. And that's something that they have already decided, which sources they think matter to them. With Gen Z, so far, from what we've learned, is much less about that brand affinity.
Interesting.
It's more about content that they think is made for them. So how we get our content in front of them is creating content geared toward them. And we've done a lab where we've experimented with Gen Z celebrity content, seeing how that performs. We just want to see, if that reaches them, and we're still in the process of doing that, so we're not sure exactly how it has turned out yet, but they are much more interested in consistency. We've seen that they appreciate something that is visually consistent, as opposed to millennials who are much more about that message. So the visuals, the content, we want it to be geared towards younger people.
Okay. And back to the rebrand for just a moment. The new HuffPost, first of all, just saying HuffPost implies a greater speed and immediacy. And if you look at the logo, and I'll post the logo in the comments after this if you haven't seen it, but it's very fast. It's like it's a little bit italicized, right? And there's sort of these green
arrows,
not exactly arrows, but sort of diagonals. Right. And the mini logo, the little icon logo, really is just a green square with a slash white slash going through it. So it implies go. So is that going to impact the way content is presented by HuffPost properties, or is it just kind of visual?
Well, all of the HuffPost Facebook pages, Instagram pages, all of our social media properties have been switched over, so there really are no remnants left of the old look.
Yeah.
So yes, the look is uniform and consistent across all of the properties. One thing that we have added to the visual representation of stories is that splash feature. So you might notice if you scroll through the Huffington Post Facebook. Sorry, HuffPost. I'm adjusting too.
It takes time.
Yes, the HuffPost Facebook page. You'll see that we can kind of create splashes on main images of stories now.
That's great.
So that is a new thing that we have added as an element to our storytelling.
Can you define splashes?
Yes. So if you go to the main HuffPost page, just HuffPost.com, HuffingtonPost.com still redirects, you will see that on the very top of the page, there are big block letters, and they're usually something quippy and something witty, and something describing news that has just happened. So that is really where HuffPost started. When HuffPost began as kind of a liberal response to the Drudge Report with Ariana Huffington at the helm, the idea was that storytelling element would be on the front page always, and that it would always draw the eye and just really, concentrate down to the essence of what the story was about. So that's something that has evolved over the years. We've redesigned several times, and we have always had that consistency on the front page. And when our designers sat down to think about what really mattered to them in the redesign, it was that splash. It was that part of our DNA that has always been so core to who we are. And so adding that element to our photos, meaning you can kind of create a splash out of an image just by adding text, that is something that gives another visual cue to who we are, and it allows us to add something new to the package. And when I talk about the package, that is how we present stories on social media. So it's not just the headline, it's the headline, the image, and the little deck. So the little text that you see right as you are scrolling down, all of that is one big package. So all of it has to work together. So this is just one more element that we can add there to pitch ourselves as something that people want to read.
And that's great. And to the original question, that answers it in terms of by having that splash on there, that concentrated essence of what you're talking about here in this story, it does sort of give more of an express there. Now, sorry, this may not be the area they work in, but do they use instant articles?
Yes, we have used instant
And how has that impacted traffic?
I honestly can't speak to that. I really don't know. I don't work on the social media side of things. So yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. For those who don't know, instant articles, it's basically your article can load instantly on Facebook as opposed to taking a second and you have to wait for it to load. And it gets it in front of people with a little bit more immediacy. And I was just kind of wondering how that would work. So, yes.
And I'm sure you've seen how The Guardian is moving away from instant articles.
Yeah.
So that is something that, we've taken note of. But I think...
and it does bring up net neutrality debates.
And it's different sites are treating it in different ways. And, legacy sites like The Guardian might not see the value when really the value that they're getting is when people are directed to their site. And that is not the value that they get from instant articles. But I don't think that's necessarily the same for HuffPost. I don't know of any, issues that we have at this time. So I don't work directly with it, but I think that we're sticking with it for now.
Great. And then the next question that I have, speaking of emerging platforms, this is not an emerging platform. Twitter just made a big announcement, I think literally yesterday, that they plan to have a 24-hour live streaming news channel as part of Twitter. Twitter has already, in the past several years, made a move away from competing with Facebook as being a purely social network. I think maybe 2 years ago, they actually reclassified themselves in the App Store as a news app rather than social or messaging or whatever they had called themselves previously. So they've self-identified a couple of years ago as a news app. The election was really a boon for Twitter, I think, because now people go there for their news. And so they're taking that a step further. When I first heard that Twitter was going to be live streaming, I said, well, don't they have Periscope? But this is different. This is a network. This is network programming. And HuffPost used to do something very similar with HuffPost Live, which was called HuffPost from the get-go. It was never Huffington Post Live. HuffPost Live. But they actually stopped. They did, I think, 8 hours a day straight through, and you could tune in at any time during that 8 hours. And then they have rolled that back over since the start of 2017, and they actually ceased broadcast about a month ago. But I'm kind of curious if you think, I know it's too new for there to have been any decisions made. I know they didn't exactly call and give you a heads up 3 months ago. But I was wondering, just from your own opinion and your own experience, if you think that HuffPost might dip its toe into that Twitter network thing and sort of be one.
Right. I mean, I think it's, I would never say no. I think it's always a possibility. Yeah, I think HuffPost Live was a really great period for what was the Huffington Post, now HuffPost. But obviously it kind of ran its course. But we are still all in on video. It doesn't mean that we are not in on the kind of, it was almost like a kind of TV side of HuffPost. And while we're not having that aspect of it, we're all in on video. We're all in on Facebook Lives. We hosted a really cool ACLU telethon a few weeks ago that was live. And, you know, we're continuing to do something cool and innovative in that space. So Facebook Live, Instagram Live, we are all in on and creating videos for social. So I can't see why we wouldn't want to experiment on this new platform, this new Twitter Live side of things.
And do you think it would kind of look like HuffPost Live did just on Twitter, or do you think that they might do something a little different?
I mean, I really don't. I honestly have no idea, and I don't claim to know what the video team would think. I would imagine it would be different. I would imagine it would be updated. And I think what we are seeing now is that the formality is not necessary on many of these platforms. So the having a set is not as important for a Facebook Live as it would be for the nightly news. So I think there's not necessarily a reason that we would have to have it in the same studio, you know, working on all of, just having everything the way it used to be. I don't know if it would be necessary, but it could be. I don't know. I really have no idea.
All right. And my last question, because I know you have to get back to work. Thank you so much for stepping in. At literally I was literally on my way to start the broadcast, and I grabbed her. So thank you very much, Abigail. So my last question, I'm sort of going backwards here, but again, it was on the fly. I've been thinking again about that emerging platform, saying the messaging apps. What apps do you think are the ones? Obviously, you guys are kind of early adapters with these things. You do kind of want to be places early because you do court a younger audience among your wider audience. What are the apps that people should that marketers should start paying greater attention to?
I know the apps that we are starting to pay closer attention to right now. House Party and Musical.ly are two apps that we are interested in. I don't know if that means that you should turn all of your energies to them, because we are still experimenting with them ourselves and trying to figure them out. I think chat apps, you should be there. I think that that's been known for a while. But really just those emerging platforms, Musical.ly and House Party.
Now, what is House Party?
So House Party is kind of a app. I mean, my colleague Amy works more closely with it. She could explain it better. But essentially, it's kind of like, what was that thing where you could be live and people would like
Periscope?
No, it was. Oh gosh, I'm totally blanking on this. But celebrities would sometimes do it, and you would, you would end up in their kind of room where they would be talking. Yeah. I am not explaining this well, but it's essentially
we can check it out.
An app version
of curious about House Party.
Oh God, and this was a very popular thing. I completely blanked. But it was, it's more like that, where you will be having a house party and people can join, and only a certain number of people can join at a time. So it's a little smaller and a little bit more private. But it's a good way to chat with friends, essentially. And it's like you can be in a group with people that you want to be there, or people that you can invite. I know that celebrities have already been on it and inviting fans to chat with them. So, and
in terms of, what was the other one that you said? It's one that I do know.
Oh, Musical.ly.
Yes. So I've seen Musical.ly, but I have no idea how a brand would get in on Musical.ly. Like sponsored Musical.ly is, I don't even know.
Right. I think that that's interesting as well. A lot of these things we get in on before we even know how to monetize them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We just want to be there. So basically on Musical.ly, we are kind of creating programming with our editors to do their dances, do their songs, strut their stuff, and we just want it to be fun and fresh and have ourselves have a presence there. So yeah, I don't really know what the best way to utilize that app as a brand would be, but we just know that we want to be there.
Yeah, because Musical.ly, for those who don't know, I mean, I see it a lot of times with people's kids using it. You basically lip sync along to a song. You make a video of yourself lip syncing along to a song. It's so simple, such a simple premise.
But they've already
it caught fire.
Yeah, they've already created celebrities from Musical.ly. Jacob Sartorius is one, a big teenage star right now. Who's
even I know who he is.
Yeah, leveraged it into a singing career. Yeah. So, and that came from, I mean, it's the way that Justin Bieber started on YouTube. That's kind of a new YouTube-esque experience.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So Musical.ly, which is musical.ly, I'll put it in the comments, and House Party, which I didn't even really know about. So Musical.ly and House Party, good places to pay attention. I assume Snapchat is still?
Yeah, Snapchat, Instagram stories. We are still focusing on those, of course.
Facebook stories, too?
Facebook stories, I don't know if we have a strategy there yet, but
it's basically Instagram stories.
Exactly. I mean, Facebook owns Instagram, so it makes sense that they would use the same technology. So yeah, it's something that we'll definitely explore. But right now, Instagram stories and Instagram Live, we've been doing a lot. Of course, continuing with all of our old brands on Facebook and Twitter.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Abigail. This was so great, so last minute, wonderful, much appreciated.
Yeah.
And everyone out there, I'll probably be doing a little bit of more unofficial Facebook Living, just looking around this cool office. Cool. AOL and HuffPost have the coolest office. It's really fabulous. So thank you for tuning in. This will be posted to my blog as well, at christine.gritmon.com. And thanks, and I'll see you next week. Thanks, Simone. Bye.